Hello. Hey, Julie asked me to share something with you, and storytelling is what I do best. It's how I do all of my selling, and I have these little things that the cliches, I guess you could say, that help me to explain something, and then I explain it better. But if you have a little tagline cliche, it helps you remember it forever. And so my cliche for this I'm training on right now is facts tell and stories sell. And so um, it's important to tell somebody a fact, but you can weave it into a story, or you can tell them a fact and then tell them a story about it, or you can tell them a story and then tell them the motto or the reason for that story, which is the fact. And so that's a really powerful tool to be able to grow your business, to convey thoughts, sell ideas, sell the career, and sell products. So I'm working with a friend who owns a solar company, and so yesterday we had a really interesting situation. An email came into our office, and one of the sales associates had basically, in this guy's, I'll sum up his words in his email, had violated him in his home by selling him something and then coming back and tacking on another $2,650 worth of expenses that it was going to require. And he felt he had kind of been pinned against the wall, and that his decision would have been different if this situation of this $2,600 had been disclosed to him. And in all fairness, what really happened was circumstances arose during the project that required that. Maybe somebody with a little more technical skills could have perceived that that was going to happen. But the violation occurred when the sales associate just assumed what he needed to do and didn't give him choices. Sent him a letter saying, hey, to move forward, this is what it's going to take. You've already invested a significant amount of money. Now it's going to be $2,600. And the guy was livid. And he wrote this big letter, and he wanted the gentleman's supervisor to contact him after reading the letter. So I read the letter. I spoke with the owner about it. The owner of the company isn't good at handling problems like that, and I told him, I've got it. I've got it. The guy was saying he's going to hit social media, badmouth the company, and tear down its reputation. And so I told the owner, don't worry about it. I'll handle this. My intention is to meet with him and get this all smoothed out so that he's completely happy. And so what I recognized is that the $2,600 on a $100,000 project is not a huge thing. And possibly, a company would want to just absorb that and maybe tell the customer, but, not necessarily tack it on, just kind of absorb it. But that's not the way this was going down. And so the gentleman was going to need to pay the $2,650. But what I realized the big problem was how this was presented to him. Um, the violation that he was feeling came from feeling like he was backed against a wall. So I listened to what he had to say, and then I showed up at his house and I said to him, I've seen pictures of what they're talking about, and for all I know, I just want to see it for myself to make sure that the pictures are accurate, they're the right project, and everything. So I took a look at it. It was his electrical service panel for his house. I took a look at it, and I took a couple pictures myself, and I said, okay, I've seen what I need to see. Let's go back in where it's warm and talk. So we went back into the house and we sat down, and I said, hey, first of all, I just want to apologize to you for the manner in which this happened. I recognize that you were told what needed to happen, and you weren't given the opportunity to ask any questions. You weren't consulted in it in any way, and all the power was taken away from you. The decisions were already made for you. And I said, in fact, you do have some decisions. This is regarding a solar project for your roof, and we're going to be backfeeding too many amps to be handled by your main service panel in its present condition. And so instead of you just having to pay $2,650 and that's all there is to it, you do have other options. One is we could take a couple panels off of your roof, a couple of these solar panels off your roof, produce a little bit less power, backfeeding a few less amps, and your service panel can handle that. However, every month that comes around, you'll owe a tiny bill to PG&E for your service. And that is kind of like an option that's good because it solves the problem. You're not having to pay the $2,600, but I'd like to offer you another option that I think might be a little bit better. That option is that we would do something called derating your main. This is a better option. We've got good, now we've got better. Derating your main from a 200 amp main to a 175 amp main allows us an extra 25 amps of power that we could backfeed, and that would work. That option would cost you about $250 to do that. Now, the downside to that, because I want to be like part of your family that knows a lot about solar, but is helping you to make the best decision possible. So the downside of that option is you still have the main service panel that you've got, and honestly, it's only about 25 years old, but it was an off-the-wall brand. And we've had a very difficult time finding the 175 amp circuit breaker to do it. It just isn't everywhere. And so as time goes on, because nobody's manufacturing this type of panel anymore, those circuit breakers are going to get harder and harder and harder to get. And there could be a time where something happens to one of those breakers, or you want to build put in a hot tub, or you want to do something like that, and you're not able to find one of those circuit breakers. And so while it's a better option because it saves you money now, right now with the 26% tax credit that you get for putting in solar, that applies to upgrading your service panel right now as well. And so there may never be a better time to do it. So the best option, and if it were me, this is the option I would choose, is I would get the $2,600 service panel upgrade while you're getting the 26% discount. Know that you're getting a state-of-the-art service panel that those circuit breakers will be around forever for, so that if you're having Christmas dinner 10 years from now and a circuit breaker fries or something, it's a simple fix. And you're not going to be down for weeks or months or having to get a costly repair done then. So it's just peace of mind. It's kind of like a legacy. What do you want the legacy for your family and for you to be? And so that I kind of feel like is the best. So there's good, where we could just take a couple panels off. There's better, which is where you have the opportunity to derate your main and keep all of your panels. Or there's the best, which is the upgrade that we offered you. And I recognize that now that you have some choices, you're in position to be able to decide what's going to actually be best for you. Do you have any questions about what I shared with you? Because I'd love to make sure that all your questions are answered before you make a decision on this. And he said, no, I think I've made all those decisions and I'd like to take your advice. I'd like to go ahead and get the $2,600 upgrade. I want to make sure that I get my tax credit for this year. And so since we're not building the system this year, how can I do that? Because I don't think making the decision to go solar in 2021, but then paying for it in 2022 helps me. And I said, no. What we've done in the past with customers who trust us is we've gone ahead and allowed them to pay for their system upfront in full, and we can deliver their panels to their garage or their backyard. And then in January, when when Christmas break is over and we've got your permit and everything, we'll come and we'll install everything. So if there's trust for our company, then that's a choice that you can make. Some people who really know our reputation and really trust us and know who we are, they just say, hey, if you've got the panels, which you say you do, go ahead and keep them in your warehouse and just bring them when you're going to install. That way I'm not responsible if a car hits them in my garage or somebody comes and steals them while I'm out enjoying Christmas with my family out of town. Can you just hold on to those panels? And I said, absolutely we can. So I said, again, it's a choice that you can make. If you're comfortable and you want to pay for it up front, would you want the panels in your yard, or would you want them in your garage, or do you want us to hang on to them? And he says, well, it's close to $100,000 decision, right? I guess I should toss that out there. He says, you know what? I think I'm just going to write you a check right now, and you guys can keep the panels in your office. Thank you for coming out and really sharing with me what it is. So the moral of this story is, we offer him a good, a better, and a best solution. We walk him through, but we allow our customers, the people who are important to us in our life, to be able to make some decisions for themselves and not be told what they need to do. And we pass it on through stories. One of the stories that I told him, and the reason that he had been violated, was because PG&E can make up rules, right? And if our salesman had been truly on top of his game, he could have seen this coming, and he could have had discussions with the customer before we got to this point. But he didn't. He wasn't quite there, fully trained yet to be able to see that happening. So how you follow up with this is really important. One story I told him is the story about my brother. And, many of you met my brother, and, he was exceptional with computers. In fact, he managed Abbott Laboratories' worldwide computer system. He was their top guy in computers, and it was his job. If they bought they were buying computers that were millions of dollars, and he'd fly to Portugal for a week and get it up and running, or he'd fly to Germany, or he'd fly all over the world and get these things up and running and make sure that the people that were going to be doing the input on it would keep the integrity of the computer system safe and working properly, and that it was working properly when they got it. And so Julie and I are not in that league at all, and we go out and we buy a $2,000 computer, and it takes us a week to move into it. And so the story I shared with this gentleman is, it's kind of like the story of the computer geek. My brother wasn't a geek, but he was this computer nerd that knew everything about it. And when my system didn't work, I would call him and I would rely on him, and I'd say, hey, Kirk, I'm getting this error code. And he'd go, well, what kind of computer is it? And I go, oh, it's a Dell or, a Sony or whatever. And he'd go, well, how long have you had it? And I'd say, oh, we got it 8 months ago. And he'd go, dude, that technology's obsolete. Just buy a new computer. Well, I'm like, Kirk, it's going to work for me for 10 years. Why would I go buy a new computer? That's just obsolete. It's not even worth working on. He lived in a world where those things, $2,000 computers were disposable. I live in a world where, hey, $2,000, I could afford to go out and buy another $2,000 computer, but what I couldn't afford was the 100 hours it took to put all my apps and my programs and all my data and all my input in, and then get it situated in a place where I could find it. And moving into a computer is harder than buying one. And so I didn't want to have to do that. And so I told him, I said, hey, this went into the design team at the solar company, and they were looking over it, and they just made a decision. You know what? This is an old obsolete panel. We should just have him replace it. Here it is. He tells our sales staff it's $2,650 to completely upgrade this. That's the way to do it. That's how we're going to fix it. And so instead of asking questions, instead of realizing all those options, when a technical person tells somebody, just go out and spend $2,600, and a salesperson tells them what their choices are, it works much better. And so we have good, better, best with everything that we do in Mary Kay. For example, a good option for somebody that we meet is for them to become our customer, fall in love with our product, and look like they're 50 when they're 75, and thank us for the rest of their life because we got them on healthy skincare products and we worked with them for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, which you guys will have that time in your career in a heartbeat. It just happens automatically, and you'll have helped them to make incredible choices for themselves, and that's good. That's really a good program. Better is when they have the opportunity to be a hostess for you periodically, once a year, hold a skincare party, earn some of their products for free as a gift, get experience with new products that are cutting edge and going to keep them even younger looking than the products that they're currently using, because Mary Kay is always improving something. So good is, becoming a customer. Better is becoming a periodic hostess a couple times a year or once a year, where you're always on the cutting edge and you're getting some free perks and bonuses along the way. But there's a best option as well, which is joining the career and becoming part of Mary Kay, getting the freedom and flexibility for yourself, getting your products always at a 50% discount, being able to profit from selling to your friends, and even changing other people's lives while you're changing your life with being able to start their own company, free cars, trips around the world, quarterly prizes, growth in self esteem, money, flexibility. All of those things come with that best option. And so you could offer this to people at the end of your skincare class or during your skincare class. There's a good option, there's a better option, and there's a best. Which one would you enjoy most? I would love to work with you. Let me know how I can help you. So I hope this was helpful to you about telling stories about the good, better, best option and how to diffuse situations by giving people choices. Thank you very much.